Blah, 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 blah. Welcome to Wide Awake News Radio. I'm Charlie McGrath, your host. It is the 18th day of December, Wednesday, 2013, almost Christmas time. And tonight we have a good program for you. Gary Hendershot's joining me. Doug Owen is kind of lurking in the weeds because him and I are going to record Doomcast immediately following the program here on the one and only Rinse Radio Network. I am hemorrhaging all over my studio right now because I decided, since Gary was going to capture the video for tonight's program, that I would do the right thing, shave up, look all professional, and I think I nicked an artery because I am spewing vino all over the place, and I'm extremely distracted. And I actually think I might even be a little bit lightheaded from the a massive amount of blood that I have lost in the last 15 minutes. Gary Hendershot, are you with me?
You betcha. I'm hiding out in the background. You know, I don't want to get any of that blood on me.
It's a good thing you're not here because it looks like a crime scene. It looks like a murder scene in here. I apologize to anybody seeing me dab at my face during the program tonight. But
you would do this on the first night. You know, we've actually done a video recording of one of your presentations in a long time. You know, you would go ahead and slice your throat. I mean, were you practicing harikari? You thought you were doing haiku and it turned into harikari?
I just I bought a new razor. I went for the discount. I had the Mach 3. I've always used a Mach 3. And I saw a discounted brand. It had 4 blades on it.
Oh, got more blades. Must be better, right?
Yeah, it wasn't. I think I nicked half my face off. So I don't know. If you see red streaks running down my face, Gary, you're going to have to tell me so I can
so you can dab it up. Hey,
hopefully by the program we can stop the bleeding.
As a way to get into it tonight, I when I did my show on Monday, I usually like.
By the way, for those who don't know, Gary Hendershot. But by the way, Gary, it's become a very popular spot every Monday, and then you upload it to YouTube, and it's great because Gary is 100% self-sufficient. He comes on, he hooks up to Rinse, he does his program, he records it, he uploads it to YouTube, and he's got quite a following. If you're not tuning in Monday nights to Wide Awake News Radio, the Gary Hendershot howling at the moon, barking at the moon hour. It's a great segment, so make sure you make note to get in there and check it out. If you can't check it out live, you can check it out on the YouTube channel or wideawakenews.com because I post them up there every Tuesday morning. Go ahead, Gary.
Well, I appreciate the plug, but I was not able to leave the audience with my my usual giggle. I usually try and close because let's face it, the news is usually so darn negative that, I always figure, well, got to leave them with a little bit of laugh on the way out. I had a couple of bits all made up and ready to go, to leave them with that giggle. And I didn't get to leave them with a giggle on Monday. So my wife told me a joke today, and I want to pass it on. Are you ready?
Ready, lay it on me.
You got your adult beverage and your snacks all ready to go?
No, but I got my paper towels.
If you're listening to one of my bits, you have to have an adult beverage, a cigar, and a snack ready. But okay, here goes the joke. Okay, Obama's out on a whirlwind tour. He's going from country to country to country, lands in Israel, and just by fate, he happens to have a massive heart attack and dies. So Obama is dead. Biden, of course, is dancing with a bunch of rabbis. But, the fellas come over to the entourage and they say, tell you what we're going to do. Tell you what we're going to do. You can fly the body all the way back home, but it's going to cost you $1 million. So tell you what we're going to do. We got a nice place right here. We'll bury him right here for you. $100. Such a deal for you. Well, the entourage, they go off and they think about it a little bit. Boy, I had to save the taxpayers a lot of money. And the arguments go back and forth. They come back in about 10, 15 minutes after discussing this, and they look at the guy and they say, I'm sorry, but, load him up on the plane. We're going to have to pay the $1 million and take him back home. And I go, why? We're offering you such a deal, $100. Why you want to pay $1 million? We'll just bury him right over here. We got this nice crypt already. And they look at him and they say, well, last guy came over here, thought he was God. They buried him. He woke up in 3 days. We can't take that chance.
Oh, Gary, that's bad. That's a bad joke.
Well, that was the joke I couldn't leave him with on Monday. I ran out of time.
Well, thank God we had the time to do it tonight.
Yeah, but what an opener. I mean, if you can't take that and run with it, you ain't worth sitting there.
Well, it couldn't be more true. I mean, I think he does think he walks on water, and he's above reproach. What are you ranting about this week, Gary Hendershot?
Oh Lord, I don't know. Tell you the truth, I usually wait until the Sunday before, and I go through if I looked at the news every day, see, I don't know about, you probably got your nose in this stuff all the time. If I looked at the news every day, to be honest with you, I'd go bats. I'd go nuts. I would, I'd just get into the fetal position and forget it. So one day a week on Sunday, I review the news for the week.
Now you know why Doug and I are so absolutely out of our mind, because we dig into this stuff every day and looking for headlines for the website and whatnot. And yeah, it is. It's a little. I mean, it's at times you want to just bury your head and pretend that that you never were enlightened to what's really happening in the world. But unfortunately, once you're awake, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can either speak out or let it eat you up inside. And for a lot of us, speaking out is our only option. I mean, the only way to relieve some of the stress that comes from monitoring the news and seeing what's going on. I have a slug of stories here, and I'm sure we're going to cover some of them tonight here on Wide Awake News Radio, as well as Doomcast later on with Doug Owen.
Please tell me you're going to hit on that pre-crime issue down in Texas. Please tell me that's on your hit list for tonight.
Oh, absolutely. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about the absolute deluge of stories coming out about the NSA and their continued reach into everybody's privacy. And according to RT today, a story came out by Greenwald. Now, he's the one, for those who don't know, that was a journalist for The Guardian who broke all the Snowden stories. And, he said straight up, and now he has seen thousands of documents. He has seen all this information that Snowden had given him, and he's releasing it a bit at a time. But, the headline is NSA goal is the elimination of individual privacies worldwide. And you start, Greenwald was testifying before an EU commission today, and you start reading into, what they're doing and how they're doing it. Gary, you and I have had this discussion before about, more things change, more they say the same, more, government was intrusive before, it's going to be intrusive again, and this is just a cycle. But you've got to be looking at these kind of stories and thinking to yourself, I mean, I'm going to ask you, are you thinking that this is a step beyond what you saw right back in the days of long hair and hippie time? When you had a crackdown of
that wasn't so long ago for me.
Well, but you and
I just got my hair cut today.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Looks pretty
dapper. Thank you. I don't do the white sidewall bit like you do.
This is the Armageddon do. Let's not confuse it.
Armageddon do. Yeah.
Yes, this is it.
Well, the only thing they're doing differently today is they're using modern technology to their best possible advantage. And frankly, I got to blame a lot of the people out there. I mean, if you're really crazy enough to organize your next protest on Facebook, give me a break. I mean, you're just asking for it. You're asking for infiltrators. You're asking, for agent provocateurs. No, you got to assume that the modern technology is, highly surveilled, and you got to step back and do it like we used to do back in the 60s. I mean, every protest I went to back in the 60s was organized via mimeograph machine. There's probably people in this audience don't know what a mimeograph machine is.
Yeah, I'm one of them. What is a mimeograph? What is that?
Think pre-photocopier photocopies, It was kind of a, what we used back in the Stone Age. It came right after the hammer and chisel and piece of rock. We had mimeograph machines shortly after that. And you'd have one guy with long hair, ponytail type, he'd be running around with an armful of these mimeograph sheets that, had a chemical on them that would get you high. So just about everybody would take one and try to sniff the chemicals off of it. And, and once they got finished sniffing the chemicals, they'd read it and say, oh, there's going to be a protest here next week. Okay, well, I'll see if I can fit that into my busy schedule.
Well, I agree that if you're using social media, it is surveilled. But Gary, it goes so much deeper than that. It's so much further than that. I mean, it isn't the individual reading of emails or the individual tapping of phone calls that people like Greenwald is pointing out is the issue. It's I can't stop bleeding. I'm gushing blood here. I'm gushing.
Do you want me to substitute? You want me to substitute a still image for you on the recording?
Let's see. I want everybody to see me bleed for the program. I'm bleeding for this program.
Giving your life's blood for.
This is ridiculous. I don't know. When I tapped, I didn't know I had a major artery this close to the surface of my face.
Well, it's like, but yeah, getting back to the subject, No.
Yeah. What I was going to say is this. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm just going to do this.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is this. That it's the metadata. It's the metadata that is being collected on everybody, on everything. And it's being touted by the NSA, by the government as, we're not looking at individual phone calls and individual emails. We're looking, they're looking at this metadata. But it is so damning. It is so compelling that they're using this information to track and trace everybody's actions. They can build a profile on you, and Greenwald does a good job in this article pointing out, look, if you're a woman going to get an abortion, you don't want that information made public, right? You don't want the phone call being recorded and surveilled, but you're almost better off to have the phone call recorded, because then you're just talking to some random clinic. But if they're collecting metadata on you, they're seeing, the call you made, being able to trace the facility because of that call that you made, and then the action you take prior to that event and post that event. It can build a profile of what you're doing in your life. And it isn't just a matter of bam, we're going to take one little phone call, one little snippet of your life. It's years and years and years that they can collect this data and build out on people who have no reason whatsoever to come under the scrutiny of the NSA or any other alphabet security apparatus agency. No reason whatsoever for these people to be surveilled like this or to have their information collected, yet it is being collected, and we're being told it's being done for our own good.
Their argument is that if ever Charlie McGrath becomes a person of interest,
right,
we would like to go back, this is your life, Charlie McGrath, and we would like to find every possible supporting argument we can to, throw this guy under the jail.
Right.
So the collection of and what metadata is it is just flat the raw data. Now, if you really think they've got the manpower to have an analyst sit there and read every one of these emails coming through, no. But they do have very sophisticated algorithms where if you become a person of interest, if Charlie McGrath all of a sudden comes up on their radar screen, they can go to your metadata, and through your metadata, they can find who you are connected to. Who are your friends on Facebook? Who watches your YouTube videos? Who do you have email communications with? Who have you had a Skype conversation with? They can find all of that. So basically what they can do is they can say, well, Charlie McGrath is a person of interest, and now we're going to cast this big wide net out there, and we're going to see who are his associates, because they are potential people of interest also. So, 6 degrees of separation, chances are you are already a person of interest because you've come up in one of the things where they were looking at somebody else. For example, they were looking at Doug Owens because, he's a shady character.
Damn right he is.
And you happen to come up associated with Doug Owen. So for a fact they're now looking at you.
They're wondering right now, how can one individual bleed so much and still be alive?
There was a joke in that related to women, but I'm not going to go there. That would be totally politically incorrect.
Hendershot. We're not going there. Listen, I understand the concept of metadata. It doesn't make it right. In fact,
well, of course not. It's obviously a fourth dimension. The Constitution. It's obviously a Fourth Amendment case. But they've gotten cagey to get around the Fourth Amendment. What they've done is they don't directly spy on Charlie McGrath. They have somebody in Australia or somebody in Germany do it, and then they buy the metadata that the Germans collect. They open the doors to the German investigative people. They scan Charlie McGrath's data, and for a fee, they sell it to the NSA. And the NSA, in return, spies on everybody in Germany for the guys in Germany, everybody in Australia for the guys in Australia, and they're doing trades. That way, they can, in their minds, they've skated the rules because, we're not doing it directly. We're not treading on the Fourth Amendment. Not us. We're the good guys. We're Americans. We wouldn't do that. The Germans did that. We just bought the data from them.
I find it interesting that Bill Binet, I think is how you pronounce his name, high-level NSA executive, created mass surveillance programs, worked for the NSA for 32 years. He made a statement about a year ago, and those of you watching on Justin TV or later on YouTube see, in his statement, he said, we're this close. He put his finger, his index finger and his thumb together and said, we're this close to a complete totalitarian police state. Well, now he's changed his tune and says we're in a full-on, complete totalitarian police state. Now, one thing that he points out that is something that we all need to be concerned with and need to be enraged about is they are taking things from metadata. They are taking information that they gather, and they're sharing it with other law enforcement. This is all done, right? This is all done under the guise of protecting us from terrorism. So we have to have this surveillance. We have to have the way to hold all these records for years and years and be able to filter through if there is, as Gary says, a person of interest. But what they're finding out, what's happening is that NSA and other spy agencies are getting information, and then it might have nothing to do with terrorism. It might be a crime that is completely unrelated to terrorism, but they're filtering this information through to other law enforcement. Now, some people say, well, big deal. We're catching this crime. But it is a big deal. It is a big deal when you have no expectation of privacy and when you can be convicted illegally through means such as surveilling metadata and then passing that information on to other so-called enforcement agencies, and then having that enforcement agency go under the instruction of the NSA and government officials and agencies to use the information in a sterile way, meaning, launder how you got this information. Don't tell the defense attorney that you got it because of NSA metadata wiretap or NSA surveillance on your data. So that's another way where the government, the police state, is growing out to start enforcing their tyrannical laws on the people through nefarious ways that are completely and totally unconstitutional, all being done under the guise of we need to do this to protect us from terrorism.
Well, yeah, and you got to wonder, because there's an awful lot of these things where the cops got their
tipped off
an unnamed source or whatever. That's one of their favorite metaphors. Well, a secret informant told us that this guy was doing naughty things, and you got to wonder sometimes if maybe that secret informant didn't have 3 letters after his name.
More than sure he did. I'm more than sure that there's a 4-letter word for the 3-letter agency.
Yeah, but we can't say that. It's the family hour.
What is that family? You're talking about... You open it up with kind of an adult beverage joke type of deal.
Oh no, man, that was tame. I was saving the really good ones until after hours. After we've already finished our adult beverages. I
think I'm gonna ask the chat room for advice on how to cauterize this festering, blazing wound on the side of my face.
You're not a smoker, are you? Because a quick jab with a cigar usually does it just fine.
I'm about to heat some iron up, slap it to it. Slap some iron on this. Charlie's bleeding out. Who has a good sauce? I don't know what that means.
The problem is if you tried to put a tourniquet around your neck, that probably wouldn't be a good idea.
It'd probably stop the bleeding.
It probably would.
Probably would indeed. Did you see the markets today, Gary?
I looked and okay. What does it matter? It's fake anyway.
It is fake,
and it's gonna crash here pretty soon because they're gonna do the taper thing or something.
I'm gonna talk a little bit about
line. I'm not so sure they're gonna do it, but they're gonna threaten to do it because there's guys who make a lot of money on the downturns too. So there's going to be a lot of guys getting themselves positioned so they can make money on the dump, and so they got to have a pump and then a dump. They've done the pump. Now it's time to do the dump, and then they'll do another pump again. What else is new?
Today was a major pump day, and when we come back from this break, I'm going to talk a little bit about the 295-point rally on the Dow Jones, what sparked it, and then get a little bit into what comes next in the pump and dump scam that is the indices, these stock market indicators. We're going to be back with Gary Hendershot, more Wide Awake News Radio, and more bleeding out on air right after these messages.
Take care.
Disgusting and deplorable, and it is, and you can't get on board with anybody that's doing crystal meth. Thus, we move into the era of pre-crime.
Yeah, it is. What else can you call it? I'm sure it was one of those unnamed informants. They got this little hot sheet from somebody with access to some metadata.
Oh, maybe, yeah, or just more than likely with crystal meth. And I read the story today from the Observer, and it looks more. I
saw it posted on some obscure site called Blacklisted News.
It's pretty obscure for sure.
I don't think anybody reads that rag. Just
a few crazy people. It's really just me refreshing the website all day long. refresh.
1,015 RSS feeds.
Good grief!
Good grief!
You can't see me right now. You would not believe. I think I've lost 3 quarts of blood.
Oh,
come on!
Shaving wound. You don't clot like you used to.
I guess not.
Is it still red? When it just looks all white and syrupy, then it's no good. You're close to the end.
No, it's still red. I'm good.
All right. Good.
I got a Band-Aid on there. Hopefully that stems it. Hopefully it stems the tide. Doug, you're more than welcome to jump in anytime.
Nah, man. I'm enjoying the show.
The banter.
Heck yeah.
The banter.
Okay, take a deep breath. Get your adult beverage ready. Here we go.
Iceland jails, bankers, yay. Welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. I am Charlie McGrath, your host, founder of WideAwakeNews.com. Gary Hendershot is joining me. Gary hosts Monday program. Gary Hendershot barking at the moon every Monday, 5 o'clock West, 8 o'clock East, only on the Rinse Radio Network. And we have back in the wings, hiding out in the background there, Doug Owen. He's in the chat room right now. If you want to join him and some folks that are in the chat room, right now you can go to WideAwakeNews.com. Click on the Wide Awake radio microphone and join the folks in there and make fun of me. Make fun of me bleeding. I got a big old Band-Aid on my face now to try to stem the tide Tomorrow night is, of course, we have Eric Lovely on Thursday night, 5 o'clock West, 8 o'clock East. Friday will be Woody O'Brien. And you know what? Here's the deal. We didn't have a live program Friday. I didn't come on Monday or yesterday to explain why. And I don't even know the full details. I know there was an emergency with a family member at the studio. I hope everything is okay there. And Brett, maybe you should message me in chat here and let me know. I completely understand emergency have to run a rebroadcast. So I hope everything went well, and you and your family are all doing well and safe. We continue the program now. I want to talk a little bit about the run up in the market today. 295 points on the Dow. Big day on the Dow. And what caused all this? What was the euphoria over? Well, Bernanke came out and he decided that it was time to ease back on tapering, but he talked about taking it from $85 billion to $75 billion a month, so a $10 billion reduction in the amount of debt that the Federal Reserve is buying every month. But he promised that he was going to keep rates at a super low, rock bottom number to help continue to stimulate growth and expand this recovery. And the markets took it as a good sign that throughout 2014 we're still going to be buying debt and keep rates down at the bottom. Personally, I saw this run up today in conjunction with this news by the Fed today as PPT working overtime to make sure that this news coordinated with a rally in the markets to try to get that animal spirit, try to get that optimism out there, get it rolling so that they could talk about tapering and have a positive day on the markets at the same time, so they could show that this is the right direction to go to. But look, I don't care how they wrap this thing up. I don't care how they try to deliver it to the financial news markets. When the tapering ends, so does the market rally. When the tapering ends, so does this fake recovery. When the interest rates start to go up on the debt, it is game over, period. And I don't know if it happens, in the first quarter or the second quarter, early in 2014, late 2014, but inevitably, when they decide that it's time to end this tapering, it will be the end of any market euphoria that is being brought to us right now. Gary, your thoughts on that?
Only temporarily. I mean, they'll cut the tapering. The boys who gamble on Wall Street won't have as much money to play with, and they will show their dissatisfaction with letting the market, drop to an unheard of low. It'll be doom and gloom. And then the Fed will say, maybe we ought to, stimulate the economy a little bit, and they'll start, only this time they'll shove $150 billion a month in. Everybody will get euphoric. The stock market will go through the roof, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if by the third quarter of next year we see a 20,000 Dow. So it's the, there's nothing new under the sun. They've been doing this same pump and dump for as long as I've been alive, and they're just, you can expect more of the same. Yes. There is going to be a horrible hit in the back of the head with a 2x4, probably first quarter next year. And all they're going to do is they're going to shake out the losers and steal some pension funds. It's the same stuff they've been doing for 50 years.
Okay, fair enough. But here's the deal. It isn't just America anymore, and it isn't going to be just we're going to turn the spigots back on and do some more bailouts and do some more debt purchasing. That is not their plan, I believe. I think they've announced their plan, and they've showed us what that plan is going to be. Is we will be led into another catastrophe, another crisis of proportions that make 2008 look like a hiccup, and it will be the time for global financial governance that all these finance ministers and heads of these central banks are talking about, as well as bail-ins. So you're right; it will be your pension, your 401ks, your savings, any money that you happen to have still in the bank, in a savings account or in a retirement plan, will become susceptible to rescuing the global economy with their announced plan, which are these bail-ins, Gary. It will be a Cyprus style.
As far as the global currency goes, I don't think we'll see that until after World War III, and I don't think they're going to be ready for World War III for at least another 6, 7, 8 years. maybe 10. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely in the game plan. But I think they need more than just a financial crash, if you will, to justify dumping the dollar. Frankly, I don't even, you know, everybody's running around in circles saying the dollar's not going to be the global currency anymore, that everybody's going to move over to the yuan or something. Well, I got news for you. The Chinese aren't in any better shape than we are. Their inflation rate is scary. If they weren't pumping funds into their market, they'd be more upside down than we are. So anybody who really thinks that the dollar is going to overnight no longer become the global currency, you know, come on, wake up, smell the coffee. It's going to take World War III and a replacement for Bretton Woods during the recovery from World War III before that's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm not under. I mean, I'm not hooked my wagon to that. The dollar is not going to be around in one form or another. I mean, I think if anything, they'll let it continue to strengthen. But I don't think that there's a plan that's going to one day we're going to wake up and the dollar is going to be absolutely worthless. I think it's going to be a crisis. I mean, based in dollars or whatever derivatives you're holding, a debt of nations. You know, it really doesn't matter. You're going to wake up one day and realize that the debt bomb has went off, the sovereign debt bomb has went off, and it will be global in nature. It'll be all of Europe. It'll be Japan. It'll be China. It'll be the United States. But that crisis is what will, if your World War III comes into plan, then all bets are off, right? The winner will decide. But if it's a global economic implosion by design by central bankers on a global level, which I believe it will be, then it will be we need a new structure. We need a new path forward for the global economy. And maybe they'll call it a dollar, a yuan, I don't wampum, whatever, an SDR, Bitcoin, whatever. It isn't a matter of what they're calling the currency. It's who's controlling that currency. And, I think that's the ultimate plan is to have the same powered money junkies that we see now.
One thing you can definitely bet on is that no matter who controls the currency, it will not be Gary Hendershot, it will not be Charlie McGrath. It'll be somebody named Weinberg or Feinstein or a tribe of them. And, that has been the way it's been for, I don't know, a couple thousand years. And I don't think you're going to see any major change in that anytime soon, even after World War III. The carpetbaggers will come in and they'll have a nice packaged plan all ready to go, and we'll be standing around running in circles doing the curly shuffle saying, "Save us, save us, save us." And these guys will have a plan all ready to go. Say, "Hey, all you got to do is sign the deal. Everything will be just fine."
What is with you and your accents tonight, Hendershot?
I do more accents than you can possibly imagine. I usually I do the dumb Southern boy. I mean, that one fits me best. But I can do just about. I can do Jersey. You want me to do Jersey?
No. No, I really don't.
Whatever happens in Jersey stays in Jersey, huh?
You're freaking me out a little. I'm not going to lie. All right, when we come back, I'm going to talk about what Gary Hendershot and family are doing for the Christmas break. I want to talk a little bit about some happy stuff before I start dooming it up with Doug Owen at the top of the hour. We're going to be back with Gary Hendershot, more Wide Awake News Radio in just a minute. Please hang tight.
Hey, I don't think that'll get us in too much trouble with the censors.
Looks like the old one of the Duck Dynasty guys got fired today.
Really?
He was politically incorrect. He talked about the gays.
He talked about the gays.
There's two groups of people that are in charge. Gary Hendershot's alluding to one. The others are them. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Oh.
And I'll tell you, if your name is Feinberg and you wear a tutu, you're a definite target.
Yeah, well, I'm Welsh. Ha! We were just a bunch of angry people that decided to go off and swim to our own island, and then we fought off invaders and killed them and bludgeoned them with sticks and rocks and whatever. I kind of respect that. They're like, look, tired of Ireland, tired of Scotland. I'm definitely tired of England. Let's just go out here and swim to our own place. And if anybody comes here, we'll just kill them. Anybody on a boat, we'll kill them. That worked for hundreds of years. Well, at least several hundred.
I'm sorry. I just heard kill them.
Kill them!
Duck Dynasty, Phil Robertson on indefinite hiatus following anti-gay remarks.
Ooh.
Bad Duck Dynasty.
You knew it was going to happen. He's a redneck.
Hey, you can tell all the jokes about choir boys and Catholic priests and other things you want, but I'll tell you what, you start picking on the gays, you're out of there.
Yeah, you're done. You're done.
That's what they've used against Putin. He doesn't like gays. Get him.
Get him. Get him out of there.
Mm-hmm. They're going to unleash all of those ice skaters during the Winter Olympics. The CIA has one of those, probably be a Manchurian mind slave that'll throw a skate through Vladimir Putin's head.
What's wrong with you two tonight?
All right, get ready.
What's wrong with you guys?
Get ready. Here we go.
Final segment of Wide Awake News Radio on this 18th day of December, Wednesday. Is this his last? No, we have one more before Christmas, but I want to talk a little bit with Gary about what his plans are for Christmas. And we could say Christmas because we're not politically correct here. We don't have to say holidays, unlike the Duck Dynasty guy we were talking about during the break. It looks like he's going to get fired because he said something negative to say about a homosexual lifestyle, and now he's going to be roasted in the media for his opinions. It's insanity. This is the pop culture infotainment crap garbage that so many people get wrapped up in, and they're not let's pay attention to this garbage. Let's pay attention to what somebody says about a menorah or a Christmas tree or the 10 Commandments at your courthouse, and not pay attention to the NSA gobbling up all the metadata they can get their hands on so they can convict some guy for smoking a joint 3 years from now, using metadata that was supposed to be captured in order to prevent terrorism and to keep us safe from Osama.
Well, he might be maybe thinking about making up some meth, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he may be thinking about cooking up some meth, maybe thinking about it.
Yeah, he could be thinking about it, and according to the profile we found through the metadata and the capturing of this information and pumping it into $1 billion fusion center in Salt Lake City.
He's been stripping down some lithium batteries, so he's definitely a suspect.
Yes. What are you doing for the holidays? What are you doing for Christmas, Gary Hendershot?
Well, now most of those in my family, I guess, would identify themselves as Christians. I am not a Christian, but I hold the.
What are you, a Muslim?
No, I'm just not. But I do hold this Christmas season very, very close to my heart because it's whether you believe in the fat man in the red suit and all that nonsense, whatever you believe in is fine. But it is kind of nice to consider the real aspects of the Christmas holidays, the teachings of the man from Galilee, whether you believe he was God or not, are really pretty hard to argue with. I mean, when you get right down to the nitty-gritty of the message he was trying to put out there, it's pretty hard to argue him wrong. And it's nice to have that little period of retrospection where you kind of look back and say, gee, how close to his path have I walked this year? Am I really worthy? And unfortunately, most Christians have lost that aspect of the Christmas holidays, and they're more concerned with, oh my God, somebody's going to give me a gift that's $200 and I only bought them something that was worth $25. I'm going to look like a cheapskate. I better run back out to Walmart. And it's gotten so darned commercial. Now, today I was out doing my business for for the day. And I thought about it, and I said, you know what? I didn't buy anybody any Christmas presents this year because, you know, what we had planned to do is we had planned to have a big family feast. We're going to bring everybody in our extended family over. We're going to put on a feast that, you know, I tell you, if you walk away not 20 pounds heavier than when you walked in the door, shame on you, because there's going to be plenty. You know, I don't care if some of the neighbors come by. If they got their own plate, I'll fill it for them. It's going to be one of those kinds of things. There's going to be, you know, tons of really great food. We're going to sit back. We're going to enjoy each other's company. We're going to have a really nice feast. But I thought about it, and I said, you know, I can't cheap out. You know, I can't, you know, not give presents, because that's kind of what most people expect for the holidays. So, you know, I got me some nice crisp, you know, $100 Federal Reserve notes, and I figure, okay, you know, anybody that I feel like I should give a gift to, I'm just going to give them $100, and, you know, let them get whatever they want. Because
I told you how outstandingly good looking that haircut of yours is.
Oh, you like that?
Okay, yeah, I do.
No white sidewalls, man. Yeah,
you're looking really sharp, Gary. Really sharp.
Looking very Republican, eh?
Yeah, well, you're looking whatever you want to be looking like. That's what you're looking like. And I want you to remember that when you're thinking about who to give one of them Federal Reserve notes to.
So what's on the agenda around the McGrath house? What do you plan to do for the holidays?
Well, I'm going to spend some time with my girlfriend. I'm going to spend time with my son. I like this time of year as well because, you know, you get to huddle around some family. And every year, especially since I've been, you know, involved in on the Rinse Network and the YouTube and all that, every year I really, you know, cherish this time more than I used to, because I do think that, you know, we're heading into some uncharted territory and really difficult times. So I like to take these opportunities to spend time. I am disgusted as you are, and I was going to pick up on that because you're talking about, you know, what it means to you and that kind of thing, and looking back at the last year and see if you're walking the path that you should be walking, regardless of your, you know, religious beliefs or whatnot. But that's all well and good. And unfortunately, you're 100% right when you say most people have strayed from that. You know, and I guess that's kind of a general blanket statement, most people. But it's obvious by going out and looking what happens on these weekends leading up to Christmas, right? You know, leading up to Thanksgiving and then Christmas, that the meaning of it all is absolutely just out the window. You know, it is all about what are you going to buy, where are you going to buy it, how you get the best deal. Are we going to do, you know, Black Friday on Thursday before Friday? Are we going to do Cyber Monday? Are we going to do Small Business Saturday? And it's just pumping and pumping and pumping to get people out there to spend money. That absolutely is the foregone conclusion of what the holidays is supposed to mean. And how can kids growing up now, see it as anything different than it's nothing more than an excuse, a reason to ask for the next, you know, electronic gadget.
We start training them young. We start training them young. We start training them when they're little kids. And we think it's so cute, you know. Oh, come on, little Johnny, come look at what's for you under the tree. We start training them when they're, you know, I think could barely walk, you know, with the opening of the presents and the momentary joy. And then 3 months later, that plastic piece of garbage is out in the trash. You know, and we're filling our landfills with our Christmas joy. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I kind of like the idea of just giving somebody cash. I mean, if you feel like you got to give somebody a present,
right,
lay a little cash on them. Because I'll tell you what, the big sales are after Christmas, okay? If they got a couple of bucks in their pocket, they can go. If they really need something, they can usually get it a heck of a lot cheaper after Christmas.
Yeah. Once again,
but I'll tell you what, I've signed off. I am not buying stuff I don't need just for the sake of having stuff. I mean, if something I really use is broken and I need to replace it, you betcha I'll be out there checking things out at the after Christmas sales when I can get the best price.
Well, I think a long time ago you took that philosophy of not going out to buy stuff just to be part of the consumer economy, but unfortunately that certainly what it's into. You're in Virginia. You have no snow. You're not going to have a white Christmas, are you?
Well, we have had serious snows here at Christmas time. I remember as a kid, digging tunnels through the snow and making, tunnels that a kid could almost stand up in. We're talking, 6-foot snow drifts in the wintertime.
Did you have to worry about the mammoths coming and wrecking your snow cave?
No, we'd already eaten all the mammoths, but there were still a few saber-toothed tigers around you to worry about.
Bad news.
But all this talk about the climate change area, I know for a fact it's changed because here in Virginia where I live, I don't think I've seen a serious Christmas like we used to get back in the 60s. I don't think I've seen one of those since the 60s and 70s. We get a little ice, we get a little bit of snow. Sometimes we have a little dusting, so it's a little bit of a white Christmas, but snow's like what they get up your way? No, we haven't seen that in a long time.
We just got done with a few weeks of extreme cold. 20, 30 below zero type cold. And it's warmed up a little bit now, so I'm glad that we got out of that. So global warming, climate change, I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing freezing cold weather. I'm seeing a nation gripped in one of the coldest winters they've had in a long time. But that's a discussion for another time.
Of course, the ice shelf is double what it was in.
Yeah.
My point of view is, if this is global warming, bring it on, because it's extending the growing season in a lot of the country. But it's just, everything in balance. Yeah, the climate's changing, but they keep wanting to blame it on people driving SUVs. That's where I draw the line.
Well, let's see. We got a few minutes left before we end this program, but you have a little thing you do every Thursday night. Are we still doing the Smart Scarecrow Hour?
Oh yeah, I'm doing my Smart Scarecrow show tomorrow night. Now that's an alternative energy bit, and it's vanity published on at smartscarecrow.com/live. Anybody who's interested, it's we feature presentations that relate to alternative energy topics. I think this week's guest is going to be the fellows who are organizing an alternative energy show down in Florida. I think they're going to come in and pitch their show.
Like a expo type show.
Yeah, it's like an expo. They've organized a show, and it's HHO Games. Anybody who's interested in alternative energy topics, if you use your favorite search engine and look up HHO Games, I think they're having it in Tampa, Florida. I think that it's coming on, I think around the 10th of January. I told them they picked kind of an awkward time of year for it, but that's the time they could get the exposition center that they want. So, we're going to do the best we can to try and help them sell some tickets.
Is it this first show they've done?
Oh no, they've been doing this one for about 5-6 years. It's actually
so I'm not sitting back waiting for the headlines of the cold fusion device coming out of this show.
Well, we've had our fingers crossed, hoping that we were going to see a consumer cold fusion gizmo. For a long time, a couple of years now. We've been promised by a number of vendors. Now, as far as the consumer version of that gadget, to tell you the truth, I don't know when we're going to see it, or if we're going to see it, because right now it looks where they're spending the R&D money is in centralizing that technology. We're talking, big systems that go in a shipping container and are used to power a neighborhood. The idea of getting something about the size of a mini fridge to power Charlie McGrath's house is probably quite a ways off.
But it seems like every other, I'm not going to say every other week, but it seems like several times a year we hear, at least from what I monitor of the alternative energy world, we hear about the next big thing. And then
there's been a lot of breakthroughs, and I don't want to downplay them. If we make it through the next 10 years without reducing the surplus population by about 85-90%, which seems to be the game plan for somebody out there, I don't know. But if we make it through the next 8-10 years, there could be some very exciting stuff coming on. You'll hear about the guys with the alien technology and this and that and the other thing. Okay, maybe, I don't know. But where there have been some tremendous strides made is in energy storage. So if you got your solar panels, batteries are getting much more efficient and much cheaper, and that'll probably be where the big breakthrough comes the quickest.
Nickel metal hydride still.
Oh, we
technology?
got stuff better than that now.
All right.
They're shutting us out of here, so we gotta roll, man. Do your closer.
Gary Hendershot. You can catch his program every Monday, 5 o'clock West, 8 o'clock East. You can catch him on Smart Scarecrow. Just type in Smart Scarecrow, and you can catch his Thursday program tomorrow night. We're going to have Eric Lovely hosting Wide Awake News Radio. If you want, you can hang out and chat. Me and Doug Owen are going to jump over and do Doomcast number 21. That'll start here in about 5 minutes or so. If you're not, enjoy the rest of the broadcast on the Rinse Radio Network. Have a good night. We'll see you over at Doomcast. Peace.
Okay, I have killed. I have killed the connection with the network. Now, let's see. When you guys do your Doomcast thing.